In today's episode of Alpha Quick Tips, I'm going to share with you the contents of my grab-and-go camera bag. Welcome back to Alpha Universe. My name is Miguel Quiles, and let's get into this camera bag and the contents that are inside. This is the Everyday Messenger bag. It's made by Peak Design, and really nice compact bag. Fits more actually than what I would actually need. I could put all of my camera stuff, which I'll show you here momentarily. And if I'm going out and let's say I want to put my wallet, my keys, my phone, whatever the case might be, there's actually still room in this bag to put those things as well, which is really nice. But let's start opening up this bag here, show you what's inside. Put this off here. So the first thing that's part of my kit, this is the RX1R Mark II. This is the camera that I take with me anytime I go out to family events, sporting events, going out for the weekend. This is the camera that goes with me literally pretty much everywhere that I go. And there's a bunch of reasons for it. Obviously, the compact size is something that is super helpful. It's really nice. But also there's some accessories on this camera that also kind of extend the use for me. Now, if you don't already know this, the RX1R Mark II, really popular camera these days for several reasons. One of which is that it's small, but it still has a full frame sensor. You have amazing Zeiss optics on this. It's a 35mm lens that you have on this, so it's great for just general purpose photography while keeping everything really nice and small. So the first accessory that I have on this thing, I've got a shutter release button here. And as you can see, it's raised above all the rest of the buttons, so it just makes it a little bit easier to reach anytime I'm gonna go and take a photograph. Also have the TGA1 accessory. This thing basically, it's a thumb grip. So it's just a little spot for your thumb to rest on. Just adds to the ergonomics of this camera. Also keeps you from accidentally pushing any kind of buttons or dials on the back of the camera. And you also have the cold shoe on the top as well. So if you want to attach a microphone or some other accessory that you want to take with you, you've got a spot there for that. The other thing too, which comes in very clutch with this camera, is this grip. So this is made by Photodiox, and it just attaches here to the bottom of the camera. Still gives you access as well, if you notice, for your battery. So you can still get in there and change your battery if you need to, your SD cards as well. But what's great about this is it just adds this little bit of a grip here to the camera. So without it, you know, that's the shape of the RX1R Mark II. And this just gives you a little grip, so it makes it a little bit easier for you to hold for those long sessions. Of course, you got the eye cup as well that comes with the camera. And then some additional accessories here as well. So I've got the hood, which I believe is also made by Photodiox as well. This, of course, helps with flaring, with making sure you don't accidentally touch your glass. And then I also have this lens cap. And with the lens cap, there's this little kind of attachment, which I really like. I forgot where I got this from, but really nice accessory because it basically just wraps around your camera lens and it makes it to where your lens hood, see if you can see that there, just dangles. So when you're shooting, you could do your photography and then your lens cap is right there. It's definitely not something that you want to lose. So having this little attachment will be really, really helpful. So now let's take a look at our next accessory, and this is a big one. This is something that I would recommend every photographer, especially if you have a APS-C camera, if you have any smaller bodies like the Alpha 7C or the RX1R Mark II. This is a must-have, I think, for a variety of reasons. This is the HVL-F28RM Flash, and this is a nice compact flash. As you can see, there's not a lot of anything on this flash. It's really just to provide you a really nice, clean pop of light in those low light situations. So if you go to a restaurant, you're at some event, there's not a lot of light, but you need to take pictures of people, this is what you're gonna want. I think what a lot of people end up doing is they'll go into scenarios where they just use the camera, and these cameras do great in low light, but if the lighting isn't good, then your photos probably aren't going to come out as good as they could. And so one easy way to be able to remedy that is to have something like this flash in your camera bag. And it's small, as you can see. You would take off this thumb grip accessory so that you have access to the hot shoe, but you could see that the size, the overall size of this is pretty small. It's a really compact type of setup, but it still gives you a nice quality light. With a guide number of 28, it's going to give you a pretty good amount of light, and it's small. You know, it's not a big flash, so it's not like you have to worry about carrying something big with you. So this flash definitely is something for those smaller bodies you're going to want to get. Now going back into my bag here, there's a few other things. Of course, the RX1R Mark II being a full frame camera, it needs a lot of power. So I carry 3 different batteries here with me. These are the NP-BX1 battery. So I carry 3 of those with me anytime I go out and shoot. Usually this will get me through multiple outings, like at least 3 or 4 outings. But I keep them in there just in case if I forget to charge one, whatever the case might be, it's there. Now there's another accessory here that I think is very useful. I use this quite a bit for my photography. This is a filter that's made by a company called Moment, and it's called the Cinebloom or Cinebloom filter. It's a 10%. I think they come in a 10 or a 20%. And this filter is really useful. Essentially what it does is it takes a digital image, like a really sharp digital image coming from a camera like the RX1R Mark II, and it basically just softens it a little bit so that it doesn't have so much of a sharp kind of digital look to it. Picture something like a vintage camera, like an older CyberShot. It's not going to be as sharp. So this basically softens the image a little bit, and it does some cool effects to lights. So I'm going to show you that with my Xperia Pro I here. I'm going to turn on the flash or the light on the Xperia Pro I, and just to show you. So essentially what this does, and forgive this demo here because this is much smaller than the lens that I'm using above, but should give you an idea. As I hold this over, look at that light, and you can see it basically adds to, or it creates halation with this light, which is that kind of bright halo that you see around that light. So imagine if you're outdoors, any kind of lights that you would see, whether it's street lights, you know, cars driving by, whatever the case might be, those lights are going to have those like nice blooms to them, which is kind of reminiscent of what you would see with some older lenses with optics that are not as good as what you're getting in this RX1R Mark II. I don't use it all the time, but when I have those scenarios, when I want to get that kind of vintagey, nostalgic feel, it's a really great filter to use. Now I have a couple of other things here in my camera bag that I also keep with me. Of course, SD cards are kind of a must-have. And then on the outside here, I've got 2 kind of interesting accessories that I also like to keep in all of my camera bags. This is something that I have in my Go bag. I also have these in my roller bags, my backpack, everything. These are A-clamps. They're little miniature A-clamps that I use for any kind of portrait sessions where somebody might have clothing that maybe is just not form-fitting, or maybe I might need to just cinch up the clothing just a little bit so that it fits better and looks better in photos. These come in super clutch. I usually have 4 or 5 of them in every bag, and right now I have 2 in here because they just, people end up using them and maybe they just forget and they leave. So you're gonna wanna have several of these on hand, because just like your pen, you know, you buy a pen and the next thing you know, your pen is gone, you let somebody borrow it and it walks away. This is one of those types of accessories where you just can never have enough of them. So I have a whole big bag of them, and I just put 4 or 5 of them inside of every bag, knowing that at some point people are gonna walk out with them, and you know, but they're good to have. And the other accessory that I always keep in all of my bags, these are bongo ties. And these little bongo ties, they're so versatile. There's so many different things you can use them for. I've used them at times to secure items to my bag. I've used them to attach my bag to rails and things like that. If I'm out shooting on location and I don't want to carry or hold my bag with me, I'll just go to a rail and I'll just attach this to the strap of the bag, and it just keeps it there handy in the event that I turn my back. I know that it would take more than a few seconds for somebody to kind of rip the bag off from where it is. But these are really helpful. Definitely a great accessory for you to keep inside of your everyday camera kit. But with that being said, this is what I carry with me. This is my Go bag setup. So if there's a party happening, if there's an event happening, family event, whatever the case might be, I don't want it to be where I have to start digging everywhere to try to find my camera and my flash and this and that. Everything just goes inside of this bag. It sits on a hook next to my jacket, and whenever it's time to go, this bag and all of its contents are also ready to go. So I'm interested in hearing, what do you have in your go bag? Let us know in the comments section below. I always like getting new ideas for things that I can add to my bag. So sound off in the comments section. And while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe to the Alpha Universe channel, because we have new videos releasing every single week. Now, we have a lot of videos here on the channel, but this video here that you see on the screen, it's a whole playlist actually of videos that are made with the goal of improving your photography. So be sure to check those out, and I'll see you next time.